I just love Amazon tree boas. I think they're really underrated, and I think we still don't know everything that we need to know. What's up, guys? So in this video, I'm going to talk a bit about some of the changes that are happening here at Brassman Reptiles that I'm super excited about. There's so many moving parts going on right now, and we're just going to dive right into it. Okay, so we're going to start off talking about ball pythons for a second. Basically, if you guys have followed me for any length of time, you know that ball pythons really do hold a special place in my heart. It was the first species of snake that I ever kept, and I've worked with them pretty much my entire career, breeding them, having, sometimes hundreds of them at one time. That's going to change a little bit, so it's a little bittersweet. But if you guys have followed me recently, you know that within the last year or so, I did a massive reduction of ball pythons as I started to make space for some other species of snakes. And I basically worked my way down from about 200 animals to about 40, maybe 50. After the 2025 season, we're going to be reducing those numbers even more. We're going to go from about 40 animals to about a dozen. Okay, so really quick, just so you guys get an idea of kind of what I'm talking about when it comes to costs here, we're going to look at just the babies of ball pythons and of Amazon tree boas and kind of talk about what those costs are up front. Obviously, we've got to keep them warm and everything. When we're talking about food specifically, rodent prices are pretty high, if you ask me. So if I look at a baby Amazon tree boa, I'm going to start feeding that a fuzzy mouse, maybe a pinky mouse if it's a really small baby. But we're talking about maybe 30 to 40, maybe 45 cents per feeding for the babies. Baby ball pythons right from the rip are taking a hopper mouse. So we're talking anywhere from $80, excuse me, that would be ridiculous. So with ball pythons, we're talking about a hopper mouse right from jump, which depending on where you're sourcing can be about 80 cents to $1, maybe $1.20, depending on what's around you for sources, if you're doing live, if you're doing frozen thawed, what have you. So depending on what I'm feeding and where I'm able to source from, for 1 week of feeding a ball python baby, it's almost the same as 3 weeks, or in some instances, a month of feeding a baby Amazon tree boa. So when you kind of look at those numbers, it's a little off-putting, just a bit. And of course, I just love ball pythons for being ball pythons. But as a business owner, I also do have to pay attention to some of the numbers and really look at what makes sense, as well as realizing that my attention and focus is really shifting more towards the Amazon tree boas and Corrales in general. So I've got to do what makes the most sense to be able to have these animals that I enjoy, but also the species that I'm really trying to dial in and focus and kind of pivot to push Brassman Reptiles into for focus. So as we continue to talk about cost effectiveness, we also need to think about our holdbacks. What are we raising up, and what is the cost going into that to make sure that we can produce what we're looking to produce in the upcoming seasons? Well, this animal is about 2.5 years old, and as you can see, she's not a large animal, and she definitely wants to take a pop at my face. So if we also start taking into account holding things back and raising things up for future projects, we also realize, and this girl really wants to take a pop at me today, we also realize that an animal like this is eating a young adult mouse versus a yearling or 2-year-old ball python that's already into the rat game. So again, the cost for raising these guys up is significantly less than what we're looking at with ball pythons. So as I've been going on all these tangents, I think the most important thing to remember, you got to work with what you enjoy and what's really got your attention. It's crazy to me because I worked with Amazon tree boas when I was probably about 16 years old, and I thought they were awesome. Of course, they were bitey and all this, and I didn't 100% understand what I was doing. But now that I've really taken the chance, last few years, I've been really diving into these guys, obviously producing some awesome animals like Mischief here, this red calico tiger. I've just fallen in love with the species. These Amazon tree boas are absolutely amazing. I mean, look at this guy. Of course he wants to take a pop at me because I talk with my hands, guys, if you haven't been able to tell yet. I just love Amazon tree boas. I think they're really underrated, and I think we still don't know everything that we need to know. That's something that really excites me. Of course, I love seeing cool ball python combos as they pop up and become more available, but I also love being on the ground floor of really just understanding a species, bringing it more into the public eye, and showcasing that, you know, despite what you might hear, these guys are actually wonderful. You just have to know how to work with them. And I love to be able to teach people and dispel some myths about species and different reptiles that they might otherwise not want to get involved with because they have a bad idea of what this animal really is. So I'm really excited about what's actually happening behind me right now. This is Nagini, and this is a retic that I produced back in 2017. It was one of the first Super Tiger orange ghost stripe reticulated pythons ever produced. And it was from my first time ever breeding retics. This wall was basically one side to the other, all full of rack systems. As I've been reducing numbers of other species, now it's allowed me the opportunity to move out with some racks and bring in some cages. So this is step one, and we're gonna start to see this wall slowly become full of cages instead of full of racks, and I cannot wait to show you guys what this is all gonna look like. All right, guys, so that's kind of the idea of what's going on with Brassman Reptiles. I wanted to give you guys a first-hand update on what's going on, why some of these things are happening, and what you can expect in the future, and the very near future at that. And I'm so excited. I cannot wait to take you guys along for the ride. I'll see you soon.